And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Kakarot, Bardock's son. Apt enough, you asked the question, who would win in the fight? Bardock or Minato Namikaze? I might be mispronouncing his last name just slightly. No, it's Namikaze. 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 The fourth Hokage, father of Naruto, and Bardock, father of Goku. Now, I get why they are paired up for this fight, because they are the fathers of our protagonist. So who would win in the fight? Well, that all depends on how you look at the fight. If we're to compare them, and I'll go over most, if not all, their individual traits, but if we're comparing them equally, let's look at them physically first. Minato was hailed as one of the fastest, if not the fastest shinobi of all time. That's even without the Flying Thunder God technique. And without his space-time ninjutsu, he was still fast enough to avoid lightning-level speed attacks, to avoid multiple people at once in a blink of an eye. Moved so fast, sensors couldn't pick him up. Then you factor in his space-time ninjutsu, it quickly bumps up his speed. Bardock, we know Bardock was obviously fast. I mean, he's a Saiyan. Most of them are pretty fast. Most of them can move at highly relativistic near light speed level speeds. But without a true measurement, it's hard to really pinpoint where Bardock's speed was, because when we're using Bardock, we got to go with what we actually have for Bardock. We have to go with the canon. And to be fair, or to be honest, the only canon that exists for Bardock as it stands now is Dragon Ball Super Broly, and we don't know anything about that in terms of how strong he actually was. Now, we can assume that because the special for Bardock, Father Goku special, that was never canon, nor was the one where he survived, nor is Timebreaker Bardock. But we can infer that he's probably equally as strong. His character's just different. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like power level wise, not that it's much to go with power levels, but comparing him to other Dragon Ball Z characters is important, because that can give us a gauge. His power, I think, is supposed to be around like 9,500. Like, Bardock was surprised, like, by Vegeta's standards, he was an elite Saiyan by all regard. It's because he spent so much time on the battlefield getting Zenkai. Like, he probably started out pretty on low end on a totem pole, maybe above average, but on the low end on totem pole, but with constant battles, Zenkais, and all that, he climbed up and got stronger and stronger. So his power was above someone like Nappa. He was just shy of King Vegeta's power level. But he wouldn't have been able to match someone like Vegeta in combat. So if you were able to go with what we know of Nappa, scale up just a little bit, he's probably near light speed in terms of speed. Strength-wise, he almost certainly surpasses Minato just because of his Saiyan physiology. He's probably can easily smash a boulder with his fist, whereas Minato can't without using Sage mode or QB mode. We won't really use that though, because the QB mode, just because that was plot relevant, and we're looking at Minato as a living individual, which he never had that alive. Bardock obviously has the ability to fire laser energy blasts. He's also clearly capable of flight, so he has that advantage over Minato. But with Minato's speed, his Flying Thunder God technique, he could probably easily close that balance, depending how far out into the sky Bardock is. Bardock also is a tactician to some degree. I mean, he is a Saiyan warrior, and he was clearly a smarter Saiyan warrior than the average. He had the forethought of sending his son off planet before Frieza blew it up. Now, was he like a genius? They claim he's a scientist, but I think that's a mistranslation. I think he's just maybe above your average, let's say, in intelligence. That doesn't make him a genius or anything, but that makes him, a little wiser fly. Plus, he has years of combat. I tried to find an actual age for Bardock, and I could not find an actual age for him. Because Saiyans age so slowly, I mean, they really don't start to rapidly age until they hit around 80. Bardock could theoretically be anywhere from his early 20s to his late 50s. We just don't know. If I were to be a betting man of how old Bardock actually is, my guess is he's probably somewhere in his 30s. He looks pretty much like a nastier version of Goku in this picture. But he came off as a guy who's seen a lot of combat over his entire life. So that he gives the vibe. He doesn't give a vibe off with his 20s. That's for saying. He doesn't give the vibe of like some more immature guy. He comes off as a guy who's seen a lot. So he comes off as some guy in his 20s, I'd imagine. Like Vegeta, we know is right around late 20s, early 30s when we meet him in the series, and then he's slightly older than Goku by a few years. But yeah, I'd put Bardock probably somewhere in his 30s, which means I'd probably have to go and adjust my whole what if Bardock and everyone survived. But back on point. So he's got probably at least a decade or two worth of experience under his belt. He does have his tail, so by chance if the moon gets involved, he can go into an Azaro form where he would lose control and be a giant monster. And he doesn't have the ability to see the future. That was something only in the special. So yeah, I mean Bardock is a very capable individual. Has some things that Minato doesn't, like the ability to fly. He's basically kind of like a Onoki. But Minato being the fourth. First off, he had access to apparently wind, fire, and lightning chakra. We never saw him use any of those techniques, but he had access to all of them, which is probably my preferred combination of any of those. Of any of the 5 elements, that would be like my best combination. Like, yeah, those devastating. Because lightning's awesome, wind's cool, fire's pretty nice. Though I might trade the fire out for water now I say it out loud. Be like truly like a storm. Yeah, I'd probably trade it out now I say it out loud. Anyway, so he had access to those. Never really seen him use it. He was famed for the Flying Thunder God technique. I'm trying to remember the actual Japanese name. It's like Hirashin. I know. It translates to Flying Thunder God. So that's really a space-time ninjutsu where, as long as there's a seal, Minato can instantaneously teleport from place to place to place. His reflexes and timer were so good, he was able to beat Obito, who was pretty much able to phase using his Kamui, by basically having the kunai with the seal on it phase right through it, and the minute it phased out of his head, and Minato was about to touch, or Obito was about to touch Minato and basically win. Minato reappeared behind him with a Rasengan and hit him in the back, and he placed a seal on Obito, which allowed him to then track him, basically tag him all the time. Obviously, he created the Rasengan, an energy ball based off the Tail Beast Bomb. He's able to create a larger version of it, but still. He does know Sage Mode. In fact, he does have a perfect Sage Mode, but by his own admission, he's not very good at it. Like, he's not good at maintaining it for a long time, and it doesn't fit his style of combat. So he does know it, but that probably wouldn't be a factor in this fight. He can summon Gamabunta as well as the Toads. He is a master in kunai combat, his specialized kunai with the seal on there. He also doesn't need the kunai. While they're all on the kunai, he doesn't need the kunai for. He doesn't need the kunai for the technique. He can just place a seal on something. So he's extremely skilled, keenly intelligent. Oh crap! Give me 1 second. I gotta double check his age. Because Minato, when he died, how old was he? Give me 1 second here. Did they give us an age on that when he died? Sex, age. Okay. He was 24 when he died. Oh yeah, that's right. Now I remember. He was probably the youngest Hokage that ever was. But he was 24 when he died, which means right off the bat, I'm going to tell you right now, in terms of combat experience, Bardock has the overall long-term edge. In terms of sheer combat, in terms of what they had to deal with, Minato has the edge because he actually fought a legitimate war, whereas it was more like conquering with the Saiyans. So that and Minato has a couple other lesser abilities, but we've gone over the majority of abilities that we placed in this fight. So it's pretty much a blunt force object in Bardock versus a more sophisticated, more refined object in Minato, but a more easily breakable one. So who wins in this fight? Well, first off, the scenario, it's actually a pretty easy scenario when you think about that. It's basically the Saiyans were conquerors. So what if they go to the Earth that Naruto takes place on? Well, okay, they go there. Bardock's going there. It starts to, take out some villages and stuff like that. He winds up at the Hidden Leaf just around the time that Minato becomes the 4th Hokage, and there's your fight. So right at the back, they're probably, Minato's like, who are you? What are you doing here? It's like, name's you don't understand our language. Great. Name's Bardock, and I'm here to take over this place. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll make this quick. If it makes you feel any better, 50-50 shot you don't get blown up by Lord Frieza. all right. It's like, so, I can't let you do that. Yeah, it's not about what you want. He just kind of disappears and reappears behind Minato. It's about what you can handle. And then all of a sudden Minato disappears, like, and then, just slaps Bardock right in the back with a Rasengan. But Bardock's got enough reflexes to dodge and fire an energy blast right at the Rasengan. So both these guys collide, get blown back. Minato catches himself with his own with his jutsu. Bardock's flying in the air. It's like, all right, you're seeing so someone in this planet does actually have some power. Your power level's not that high though, but that technique. If that had hit me, that might have hurt quite a bit. Now, I don't think a standard Rasengan, even if it hit him point blank in those most vulnerable spots on his body, I frankly don't think a regular Rasengan would really do much to Bardock. I think it might hurt, but I don't think it'd be a life-threatening injury in any stretch. But that's not the point. The point ultimately is how much damage can Bardock take. So Bardock comes in, rushes in. Let's see if you could live up to your standards there, buddy. And then comes in, attacks Minato, who, throws kunai right at him, like throws a bunch of them. He's like, oh, come on, nah, is that really the best? And then all of a sudden gets hit straight in the face, which admittedly doesn't hurt that much because Minato's just human without much of a power. I don't imagine chakra could translate to power level like ki in some regard, but it's not the kind of translation that I think would be a huge one. Though still, Minato's able to, hit him squarely. I was like, but Bardock's just, oh, you come on. It's like, what? And then now Minato's basically blitzing him through his kunai. Just, mother, son of a, and then basically he's hitting Rasengan. And then, I was like, enough! Bardock just powers up with a ki aura and then blasts Minato away. Minato lands. And, Bardock picks up right, like, got you, and then blasts him point blank with an energy blast. However, all of a sudden, you just see Minato there with another seal, just, whoop, nope, and then just another giant explosion off the bat. It's like, what kind of technique is this? What kind of magic is this? Ninjutsu, get used to it. And then they get into a hand-to-hand fight. Now, in a sheer speed, durability, and skill, in terms of actual skill finesse, I do think Minato is the better overall martial artist or fighter. But again, Bardock is just a pure warrior. The thing about the Saiyans, when you really look at them, is that they're not martial artists. They're warriors. They're more like akin to Vikings. Vikings or the Celts or something like that. They're certainly capable fighters. They have their style of fighting. We know Vegeta got into a stance. Nappa got into a stance. Radz got into a stance. So they have their own style of fight. But they're not martial artists, especially not in mentality. So because of that, Minato can also keep his cool a lot easier. So he's able to, at the very minimum, keep up with Bardock. Bardock will eventually overwhelm him if this fight continues like this, and Minato knows that. But the point of the fight wasn't to really win in hand-to-hand if he could, great, but that wasn't actually the point. It's more that he wanted to get close in Bardock because then he starts to place seals all over him. And he places one or two, he places like one on his leg, one on his arm, and one on his shoulder. So now Minato disappears, reappears, and starts landing Rasengan after Rasengan on Bardock. Again, a couple aren't going to do much. Repeated blows from Rasengans, even on his Saiyan body, that eventually, even as one is like, tough as Bardock, that's eventually going to do something. And it's just starting to wear him down. Minato's changing up the 3 to right. It's not like he's going back and forth, 1, 2, 3. He's making sure to keep it that Bardock can't predict where he's going to be. Bardock, again, powers up with an aura, throws Minato back. It's like, I've had it with you. Basically charges right at him. You're not getting away this time. Somebody jutsu. Gamabunta appears right in front of Bardock, who just boom, smacks right in front of Gamabunta. It's like, Minato, what's the meaning of this? What's going on here? Sorry, buddy. Sorry, old friend, but I need a moment to really prepare this seal. And then, what are we doing? And all of a sudden, Bardock is just lifting him up. It's like, yeah! It's like, what the hell? Get off me, you bloated amphibian. Oh, I'm a bloated amphibian, am I? Fine. Liquid style, water style, liquid bullets. And then it's like, what? And then Bardock just gets, it's like, what smells like wet monkey? You son of a bitch. Basically charges up that shot like you see in Freeze, just throws it right at Bunta, like, oh crap, I'm out of here, Minato. It has his blade up, but it splits, so he still gets tagged with it. Just, bah! I can't stay any longer. I'm good, old friend. Go. Poofs out into existence. And it's like, this is over. Basically, like, I'm gonna raise this town to the ground with you in it. And basically, Minato finally just says, no, you're not, and just grabs him, teleports him away from the town, and basically lands him on a patch, like, this is over. You're right. It is. And then basically creates a barrier ninjutsu, which apparently Minato was very skilled at. Seals him in there temporarily. You think this will hold me? Not just long enough. And then all of a sudden, every one of the explosive seals, and I mean all of them, and there's probably quite a few, because it took Minato a little bit to prepare this, just go off, boom, and Bardock's just, is that the best you? And all of a sudden, Minato appears one more time with a kunai and just cuts his throat. Now you might be wondering, could that cut Bardock's throat? Would Bardock's skin be too tough for the blade? I think initially in a healthy state, yes. But in a state where Bardock has taken a lot of damage, he's taken a lot of abuse, and he's just got his guards off at that point, or couldn't see it coming. Yeah, I think a blade would hurt, especially if Minato channeled some chakra in there. So I think just because it's over, and then just you sneaky bastards, about to blast him again, and then just teleports. The thing is, he teleports the blast behind Bardock, because he had a seal in place. Just as Bardock fired it, he just gets blasted in the back again, and just kind of just goes to the ground, and Bardock kind of just gives a smile and says, not bad, buddy. Not bad. Now, finally, he bleeds out and dies, and Minato just, oh, God. Oh, man, that was a lot. So, honestly, my initial thought would have gone to, or my initial belief would have gone to Bardock. So, but frankly, Minato has him completely outmatched when it comes to sheer skill and technique. And honestly, technique wins the day, and especially when you're dealing with someone who can teleport in an instant, and teleport techniques thrown at him in an instant, who has reflexes fast enough to dodge lightning speed attacks. So, or possibly even near light speed attacks. And this is all before this the Kyuubi mode and all that stuff. So, quite frankly, I think Minato honestly has. Now, Bardock can still win this fight. All he has to do is get a solid strike in on Minato, because, again, physically speaking, from a durability, strength, maybe even just natural speed, Bardock has him beat. And the ability to just continue to produce energy blasts is definitely something Minato's not capable of dealing with without his ninjutsu. But because he has it, I actually got to go with the big yellow flasher, with the big YM, Yellow Flash Minato. So yeah, my vote's on Minato for this fight. Who do you think though wins? Do you think Bardock? I think Bardock could definitely win some fights. Definitely. I think the majority though, they go to the Minato. But let me know what you think. Do you think it's Minato overall, or do you think it is Bardock who could win the majority of the fights? Until then, thanks for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know to review it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything you do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. Land Corp videos, whatever they may be, and I'll get to that at some point. So, I've got no other videos planned today. I do have the pre-release tomorrow, so for Magic the Gathering, Theros Beyond Death. So, I will at least give you a review of what my thought on the set was, the cards I thought worked, the cards that didn't work, great cards, blowout cards, the experience, all of that. And I have a what if for tomorrow. So, yeah, that's going to be it basically for tomorrow. I got box office on Sunday, but I'll probably won't get to that till later in the evening because I am working for a change on Sunday. But I will get to it eventually during the day. And yeah, this coming week is the week of what ifs, so keep your eyes out for that. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. By the by, I'm finding that the new schedule I've given myself is a lot easier to maintain. So this might be the set schedule for the long-term haul. Wow, haul. Try saying haul. Why can't I say haul? Long-term haul. So yeah, I'm finding the schedules a lot more easier to maintain. Now, obviously, the week ofs are going to be difficult to deal with in general, just because that's always the way they are. But I will never stop doing them. A, because of the views. A, because of the people watching. A, because it brings new subscribers. A, B, C. There's a lot too much benefit. Excuse me. There's too much upside and not enough downside when it comes to those. So yeah, I'll always probably keep doing the weeks of. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.